State whether the multiplication property or the distributive property should be used. Then simplify the following expressions by multiplying. We have negative 12 by 3x. So there's an implied multiplication here, 3 times x. There's no addition or subtraction in that quantity. So we're just using multiplication here. And so then using the associative property, I can rewrite this as negative 12 times 3 times x, which is negative 36x. Now in practice, we just understand that we just multiply the negative 12 by the 3 and we leave the variable factor alone. 8 by the quantity 2n minus 10. So notice here we have a subtraction in that quantity and we're multiplying on the outside. This is a situation where we need to use the distributive property. And so we would write 8 by 2n minus 8 by 10. And now using the multiplication property, 8 times 2n is 16n minus 8 times 10, so minus 80. Negative 3 times the quantity 4x squared plus 5x minus 1. This is again an application of the distributive property. And so we will apply that negative 3 to each of the terms. So now in practice, what we do is we multiply the negative 3 by 4x squared plus negative 3 by 5x minus negative 3 by 1. So that's negative 12x squared plus negative 15x minus negative 3. This is not really simplified. We don't like this plus a negative number, and we don't like this minus a negative number. And so we simplify this by writing negative 12x squared minus 15x plus 3. Now usually though, we don't go through all of those steps. What I would do in practice is simply say negative 3 times 4x squared is negative 12x squared. Negative 3 times positive 5. A negative times a positive is a negative, and so I write minus. 3 times 5 is 15, and then the x. And then negative 3 times a negative 1. A negative times a negative is a positive, and so we write a plus 3. We get the same thing either way. The second approach is usually quicker, but you can always go with the first approach as long as you're careful with all of your signs. 3/4 times 12h. This is an application of that multiplication property. And so really I can think, well, 3/4 of 12, and I can think of that 12 as a 12 over 1 if I want to. And we could, reduce between things. 3/4, so we'd have 3 times 12 over 4, that 12, and then don't forget the h. The 12 is itself a 3 times 4. And so then I can remove the factors of 4, leaving 3 times 3, which is 9, and so 9h. Negative quantity 7t squared minus 3t plus 8. This is a situation where we're using the distributive property. And in practice, what we understand is that this negative changes the sign of each term in the quantity. And so we would write negative 7t squared plus 3t minus 8. Notice how I applied that opposite to each of the terms of the quantity.